Hi, I'm a soft skills trainer from the Department of Career Planning and Development, and today I'm going to be talking about a new topic called cleft sentences. Now let's go ahead and discuss what are cleft sentences. Well, what does the word cleft means? Cleft means divided. So in a cleft sentence, information which could be given in one clause is divided into two parts and each has its own verb. So let me give you an example. Vanessa has made the greatest impact. So here there is a normal sentence and then there's a single clause and then one verb. So it is Vanessa basically who has made the greatest impact, right? That is how it is a cleft sentence. That is how it has been bifurcated. Now this gives extra emphasis to the part of the sentence because we often use this pattern to emphasize some piece of new information or to give explanations or to make the contrast with the previous statement. Let me give you an example. All the Redgrave family are gifted actors, but it is Vanessa who has made the greatest impact on the world of feature films. So here the word Vanessa is emphasized, right? So that is how we can say that this is a cleft sentence. Or another sentence, I remember your uncle taking us to the fair. No, it was my father that took us there. So my father is the one that is highlighted here. Now let's see it, the verb it used in a cleft sentence. Well, cleft sentences have the following structure that you can see on the screen. It isn't just his outlandish sense of humor that I am complaining about. So his outlandish sense of humor is in bold, right? So it is basically representing his outlandish sense of humor. So we can use this pattern to emphasize the subject or the object or the simple sentence really, or an adverbial phrase or a prepositional phrase. Like let's have another example. Mike took Sally to a party on Saturday, right? So emphasizing on, when we have to emphasize on the subject, it was Mike who took Sally to the party on Saturday. Right? So emphasizing on the object now, if we do the other way around, it was Sally that Mike took to the party on Saturday. Emphasizing the adverbial, well, this is how we are going to be changing the sentence then. It was on Saturday that Mike took Sally to the party. So here's how you can change it. Emphasizing on the prepositional phase, emphasizing on the prepositional phase. It was to the party that Mike took Sally on Saturday, right? So in informal English, we can use when and where clauses, but we do not use how or why. It was in January when I got the test results. That's one of the clauses, cleft clauses, right? So you have to use so when you use when, this you don't say how, you generally use the verb when. It's in the Green Street Market where I'll find the best bargains. Okay, so where is highlighted here, right? So when we say, okay, so let's have a look at some of the sentences. If we say them like so, it was greed why he did it. The correct way to actually say it would be, it was because of greed that he did it. It is using a calculator, how he does it does not make sense. It is by using a calculator that he does it. That's the correct way of saying it. So we cannot use it clefts to highlight an action or a verb or basically complement in a sentence. We use the WH cleft. So we cannot use it cleft to highlight the action in the verb or complement in a sentence. We use the WH clefts like where and when to do this. Now let's have a look at some other examples. We cannot say it was taking Sally to the party that Mike did. It does not make sense. Instead, what you have, the way you need to structure the sentences, what Mike did was take Sally to the party. right? Or it is totally unscrupulous that they are. Does it make sense? No, everything is jumbled. What they are is unscrupulous. That is the correct way of saying it. And what is the leading cleft sentence here, cleft word here. Now let's look at WH cleft sentences. So we can use the pattern to highlight the action in a sentence. For example, if we want to highlight Mike's action or of taking Sally to the party, then let's use the same example here. The WH clause plus form of be plus emphasized word of the phrase. So what Mike did was take Sally to the party. So in these sentences, what means the things that that the WH clause must contain? A verb to highlight the action we use to form or to do something, right? So the highlighted phrase usually contains a bare infinite example. Let me give you another example. What Mike did was to take Sally to the party. Right? So if we highlighted the verb is in the continuous or perfect, the form of do matches it. So if you really look at the sentence, the boy was, okay, so let me give you another sentence here. The boys aren't leaving Sandy at home. They are taking him to the match. So what are the boys doing is taking Sandy to the match. The old members are absent, but the new members have taken their seats in the assembly. What the new members have done is taking their seats in the assembly. So we can also use WH clefts to highlight a verb complement. For example, if we want to highlight the complement stingy in a sentence, like with let's say two people, Jean and Bob, and we have to say that they are stingy. So we can say it like, what Jean and Bob are is stingy. So we can use this pattern most often when we actually want to express our opinions of something or somebody using an adjective. Let me give you another example. Do you think Jean and Bob are a bit cautious with their money? Well, cautious, what they are is downright stingy, you know. So that is how you use an adjective in the sentence. Let's see how to use the other type of cleft sentences now. We can use WH clauses with when, where, why, and also who. So to highlight a person, a place, a time, or a reason, but we usually use an introductory noun phrase. Let me give you an example again. Who we forgot to invite was Ian. Now that's not the right way of saying it. The one we forgot to invite was Ian. So we don't say the word who here, the one we forgot to invite. The one who we forgot to invite was Ian, right? So let's look at the person. The guy who told me about the next club was Zach. Here the person we are referring to is Zach. Let's have a reference to the place. The house where I used to live is near here. So house is the place where I used to live, right? Time. Let's have a reference to time. The day when we left was the saddest day of my life. So the day is here, the time of the day, the time that I left the home. Okay. Let's have a reference to reason. The reason why they never told me is they don't trust me. So again, a reference to reason. So we can basically emphasize on an item that can be described by a noun phrase or a verb phrase really, or all we are asking for is to be given a chance. Here all is also used as a cleft sentence. We can only use the only thing with a negative verb, like the thing we don't do is repair goods bought in other shops, okay, or the only thing we didn't find was the key to the cellar. So here the thing and the only thing are the cleft sentences. Let's have a look at the reversed cleft sentences now. We can reverse the order of the parts in WH cleft sentences and put an emphasized part in the beginning. So let me show you how. Like example, taking Sandy to the match is what the boys are doing. Now here, taking Sandy to the match is what the boys are doing. So here we are putting Sandy in the beginning of the sentence. Zach, that's another example. Zach was the guy who told me about the new club. So again, Zach is being put in the beginning of the sentence. There is a form, there is a form in spoken English similar to the reversed cleft using this and that also. Let's discuss that. Example, we have to get off here. This is where we have to get off. Now what's the difference? Do you see the difference between the two? They told me the same thing. That's what they told me. So what we really have to note here is that we only use reversed it clefts in the formal style. We put the emphasized part before it. Let's have a look at fronting. Now what does fronting mean? As the word suggests, fronting objects and complements. Now how does that work? So in spoken English, we sometimes want to make a strong contrast with something in a previous statement. So we can do this with objects and complements by basically fronting them or moving them to the front of the clause, which makes them more emphatic. So she's such a lovely person, so friendly, and reliable, right? So here when we are looking at the sentence, we are saying she may be friendly, but she isn't reliable. So friendly is like friendly she may be, but reliable she isn't, right? So we can also front the demonstrative pronoun for emphasis. Like for example, I disagree with that. That I disagree with. So that is highlighted here. So you can actually put it in front. The word that can be put in front in order to make a sentence in cleft, use the cleft sentences in a sentence. So we can use fronting to help the flow of the spoken or written information. So by putting the, we put the known information at the beginning of the sentence in order to make sure that we have the flow right of the information that we are trying to give. Let's have a look at fronting adjectives or phrases that with also and such. So when we basically want to start a sentence with known information, or we want to make an emphatic comparison with information in a previous sentence, so what we do is we can use the comparative or superlative phrases in the beginning. We use the form of a verb to be followed by the subject. Let me give you an example. The first band was dire. Much more exciting was Red Heat, the second group to play. Right? Or let's take another sentence. Many of the monuments are truly awesome. Best of all is the Colosseum. Let's take another sentence. The actors were a mixed bunch. Least inspiring of the lot was Pacino. So we can use the similar pattern with also and such here. Let's see how. Members of the royal family attended the funeral. Also at the service were several ambassadors. They led a life of abject poverty. Such is the fate of most illegitimate children in this province. Let's have a look at inversion. So what is subject-verb inversion? We can sometimes put a verb or a verb phrase in front of the subject after adverbs of, for example, on, in, here, there, outside, opposite, and then adverbs at times like next, then, first, now, finally, right? So we can use a form to be verb of place and movement, like stand, sit, lie, come, go, climb, run, sail, fly, before the subject. Okay, let me make it clear with let me make it more clear after I give you this example. Here lies the body of our late lamented sovereign. On one wall there was a beautiful rambling rose. Opposite stood an ancient oak tree over a charming wishing well. Right? So that is how we can use the cleft sentences. I hope this topic was clear to you. In case you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye now.